All right, picture this. 2 years after Jason went abroad, Evelyn's best friend suddenly turned to him and asked, "Jason, do you still have a crush on Evelyn?" He just smiled, shook his head, and casually flashed the sparkling diamond ring resting on his finger. Then he showed them his phone screen, a family photo, and proudly announced that he was already happily married with kids. Her besties let out heavy sighs. Even her undeniable first love practically begged Jason to give her another chance. Why? Because after Jason left, that girl who always acted as cold as an iceberg went full-on crazy, completely lost her mind and all her dignity. From kindergarten onwards, Evelyn and Jason had never gone more than 3 days without seeing each other. If he disappeared for just an hour, she'd completely lose it. But ever since that guy Trent showed up, she actively dodged Jason for 3 whole months, blocked every single way he had to contact her. The next time they met was 3 months later, right after he survived a car crash. He deliberately played dumb just to mess with her. "Excuse me, who are you?" A flash of smugness crossed her boyfriend's eyes. He wrapped both arms securely around Evelyn and said, "We're just a couple of good Samaritans passing by to help you out, buddy." Evelyn stood next to him in a highly protective stance, totally guarding him from Jason like he was a threat. She didn't say a single word, silently co-signing his absolute nonsense. Honestly, if Jason's disappointment wasn't an act, anyone would look at them and think they were the most passionately in love couple on Earth. Jason pulled the IV needle out of his hand and made a call. "Mr. Taylor, I've made my decision. I'm moving to Europe to build my career." Mr. Taylor chuckled joyfully on the other end of the line. "You should have come ages ago. With your talent, if you had come just a bit sooner, you'd already be an internationally renowned photographer by now." Jason gave a polite laugh. "Thank you for the compliment, Mr. Taylor." Early the next morning, Jason arrived straight at the magazine publisher. The editor-in-chief was visibly surprised when he finally received Jason's resignation letter. "Is this about the salary?" Jason smiled, shaking his head. "Thank you, boss, but no, it's not about the money." "Then why?" "I just have different plans for my life now." The boss instantly thought he figured it out. He smiled knowingly and said, "Ah, getting ready to marry Evelyn and become the ultimate house husband, huh? Well, that's great. For years now, that girl has been picking you up from work every single day, rain or shine. She really keeps you in her heart. Marrying her is a wonderful thing. I won't stop you." Now get this. Hearing that, Jason almost wanted to explain that Evelyn was indeed getting married, but he wasn't the groom. However, after hearing him finish, Jason completely lost the desire to clarify. The web between him, Evelyn, and Trent was way too messy to explain in just a sentence or two. Right now, he just wanted to speedrun the handover process and get out of this heartbreak city in half a month. "Oh, by the way, Jason," the boss added, "when's the big day? You absolutely have to send me an invitation. I'm definitely coming over to toast you too." Jason forced an awkward smile. Right at that moment, Jimmy from the front desk burst into the office, popping his head in with entirely too much energy. "Jason, bro, your girlfriend is here to pick you up again. There's a huge surprise waiting for you today." Jason walked out of the publisher's gates and Jason immediately spotted Evelyn leaning against her black Cullinan, looking down as if lost in thought. Let us step closer with him to see Jimmy's massive surprise was. The black car was absolutely packed with bright red roses. Aside from the driver's seat, the back and the trunk were overflowing with them. Behind him, Jason could hear his work buddies, the guys he usually joked around with, hiding behind the company sign, totally spying on them, nudging each other, giggling like absolute schoolgirls. "Oh la la. Evelyn is here to pick up her man. In the past, she brought him little treats he loved, small cakes, bubble tea, or a whole pile of his favorite snacks. His coworkers had seen it constantly, but they still teased him every single time. When his girl shows up, the whole office eats. They were all riding on Jason's coattails. Before today, he would just silently accept the Title, he would laugh off the teasing and share whatever Evelyn brought him. With everyone, right now, the boys were just waiting for the drama to unfold. So they could grab a share of those roses. He called out her name, Evelyn. Evelyn looked up, but her expression was totally dark. Her vibe remained. Ice cold, from now on do not use my first name. Call me sister. Jason froze. For a second, then nodded. Understood, sister. I was a bit harsh last night. Do not take it to heart, she said, but you are not a child anymore. Pushing someone down the stairs, doing something that insane, never do it again. He looked up in total disbelief, letting out a bitter, angry laugh. So, you came here today just to interrogate me. Evelyn's face instantly darkened, even now. You still do not realize what you did wrong. Evelyn, I have known you for over 20 years. Even if I genuinely wanted to hurt that guy, I would not be stupid enough to do it in our own house. Jason yelled furiously, but he regretted it almost instantly. After all, he was leaving soon anyway. Arguing was just a massive waste of breath. Just leave. Stop bothering me at work. When he headed back to the entrance, his coworkers, who were just joking around, suddenly seemed to sense the heavy tension. Their expressions shifted to genuine concern. Jason, bro, did you guys fight? Come on, do not be mad. She brought a whole truck of roses too. Apologize, give her a chance. Yeah, exactly. Bro, you really do not realize how blessed you are. A girlfriend that amazing is harder to find than a literal needle in a haystack. Jason replied softly, utterly unfazed. Stop crowding around. Get back to work. His photography skills were top tier, meaning he had serious clout at the magazine. These younger guys always listened to him, so they could only lower their heads and trudge back inside. Jimmy, who was closest to him, sneakily pulled Jason aside. Hey man, can I beg for just one rose? I saw your car. She even brought a vase for them. Jason sighed. I will buy you something else later. Do not leave your vase empty, he muttered, back at his desk. He felt incredibly restless, mechanically editing some photos from a few days ago. His phone buzzed. Which of these outfits do you like? Trent had sent him a few photos. Now you and I know exactly what this is. They absolutely looked more like spicy lingerie. They showed everything that should be shown and definitely things that should not. Very quickly, the message was unsent. Trent followed up with oops, sorry, sent to the wrong person. Jason turned off his phone and Jason threw his phone into the drawer. You and I know full well this pick me guy did not text the wrong person by accident. Trent wanted Jason to see it. He left his phone buried in that drawer until his shift finally ended. But guess what? 0 missed calls, 0 messages, absolute silence. Back in the day, if Evelyn could not reach Jason for 30 minutes, she would absolutely spam him with texts and calls, or straight up storm into his office. But things were completely different now, right then. A notification popped up on his social media feed. Jason opened the app and instantly saw a familiar sight, a black luxury car packed to the absolute brim with bright red roses. Trent was holding a massive bouquet right in front of the car, smiling like he just won the lottery. The caption said, "Thank you, babe, best birthday gift ever." Oh, so today was actually Trent's birthday. That explained everything. Every single thing in that car was prepared just for him. After work, Jason really dreaded going back to that house, but suddenly Mr. Vance, Evelyn's father, called him up sounding pretty worried. Jason, why have you been working so late lately? It is absolutely not safe for you to travel alone. Let Evelyn pick you up. Jason refused. I do not want to ride in her car. Neither the passenger seat nor those roses belong to me. It is fine, Mr. Vance. I will catch a cab. All right, be safe then. Jason hailed a ride. When he got home, Evelyn and Trent were already there. Trent was dragging a huge suitcase coming straight out of Jason's bedroom. Ah, Jason, you are back, he chirped. Jason instantly hit his boiling point. Who gave you permission to enter my room? Hearing that, Evelyn slammed her cup hard on the table. I did. Got a problem with that, Jason? Absolutely had a problem. Who does Trent think he is, entering his room and touching his private stuff? Jason, this is the Vance family home, Evelyn snapped. Trent is my fiancé. He lives here and goes wherever he pleases. For Jason, it felt like a bucket of ice water had just been dumped over his head. Trent gently scolded. Evelyn playing the role of the perfect angel. How could you speak to Jason like that? You will hurt his feelings. Then he turned his big innocent eyes to Jason. I just heard the maid say that Evelyn's clothes and shoes were still kept in your bedroom, since guys have tons of clothes and she was taking up half your closet. I figured you needed more space, so I took the initiative to move her clothes out and into our bedroom. Now, you and I know Evelyn used to be insanely clingy with Jason. Growing up, he never got a single love letter because she completely terrorized any romantic competition. Later on, she boldly moved all her clothes into his bedroom using the beautiful excuse of, now you can pick out my work outfits for me every morning. Jason knew her wardrobe far better than she did. He knew exactly which drawer everything belonged in, but Jason just ignored. Trent bolted upstairs and sprinted into his own room. It looked like a literal war zone. He actually thought he had been robbed. His clothes and shoes were thrown everywhere across the floor in total chaos. Absolutely furious, Jason pointed at the disaster area and interrogated Trent. Is this your bright idea of moving clothes? Trent immediately made his eyes turn red, fully turning on the fake waterworks. I am sorry. Jason, I just was not careful. Not careful. You completely turned my room into a hurricane disaster zone. Your clumsiness is truly on another level entirely. Evelyn frowned deeply and scolded him. Jason, watch your tone right now. No, Jason let out a bitter laugh. He did absolutely nothing, yet he was still blamed. Trent is your future brother-in-law, Evelyn scolded. Put some respect on his name. Evelyn, why don't you come up and see this? Jason challenged. Slowly, she made her way upstairs, seeing the absolute disaster area that used to be his room. Flash of surprise crossed her face, but it vanished instantly, the very next moment. She gave Trent this sickeningly sweet, indulgent smile. From now on, let's just let the maids clean our bedroom, she cooed, but I really don't want anyone else touching my clothes, especially my sleepwear, Trent whined, heavily emphasizing sleepwear while a delicate blush painted his cheeks. Pure manipulation. Evelyn nodded helplessly. All right, fine, I'll clean it up from now on, you just sit and rest. Trent playfully stuck his tongue out. Evelyn, am I being too clumsy? No, it's fine, you have me. Being a little clumsy is perfectly fine. You and I can feel Jason's pain here. He had never hated a handover process more in his entire life. If not for that, he would have flown across the ocean already, completely escaping this nauseating, chaotic display. Jason, Evelyn said coldly, just calculate how much your damaged clothes and items cost. Give me a number and I'll compensate you. Jason laughed out of pure, unadulterated anger. Wow, so Evelyn was throwing money at problems now, throwing it at him, no less. Trent even had the sheer audacity to purposely brush his arm against Jason's, whispering, you should ask for a lot. With me here, no matter what you demand, she'll pay you. Evelyn shot Trent a glare. Are you taking an outsider's side now, trying to let some outsider empty your wife's wallet? Trent pouted at her. He's my little brother-in-law, as the older brother figure, of course I have to protect Jason. Jason just sneered. An outsider. That's right, they were the intimate couple. Jason, the adopted son of the Vance family, was officially just an outsider. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was Mr. Tyler. Jason adjusted his mood and answered. Jason, the older man asked. I remember you shot those bird photos a while back. They were absolutely beautiful. An editor from a magazine over here wants to take a look. Could you send me the original film? Yes, Mr. Taylor. Give me a moment. I'll go check my bedroom. Jason preferred using real film. All of his previous rolls were locked safely inside a small drawer. Out of habit, he went for the key, only to discover the entire cabinet was soaking wet. Ah, Jason, I'm so incredibly sorry, Trent gasped. I accidentally spilled coffee earlier. I was so worried it would stain your cabinet, so I wiped the whole thing down with water. A cold chill ran straight down Jason's spine. He didn't even bother wasting words on Trent. He quickly unlocked the drawer. The moment he pulled it open, his heart, which had been hanging by a single thread, completely shattered. Row after row of film rolls were submerged in water. Some had unraveled, some were totally discolored, and many were tangled into a soggy mess. Even the water inside was a murky, disgusting brown. This was essentially all of Jason's photography work from the last 3 years, destroyed. The bottom of the cabinet was completely ruined. He trembled with pure rage, unable to form a single word. He didn't even notice Evelyn walk in, seeing the disaster in the drawer. She just said nonchalantly, "Calculate how much these film rolls cost, add it up, and Trent and I will compensate you." Jason finally snapped. Can you even afford to compensate me? Do you know what these films mean to me? Do you? Evelyn scowled. The film is already completely ruined. Throwing a tantrum changes nothing, right? Trent was literally just trying to be a good guy and help pack. Spilling the coffee was just an accident. Jason snapped back. So accidents wash everything clean if someone gets run over. Does a simple sorry fix it? Evelyn glared at him, her tone turning ice cold. Stop spouting nonsense. How can you compare photographs to real lives? If the photos are gone, just shoot them again. Is it that serious? Meanwhile, on the phone, Mr. Taylor sounded incredibly worried. Jason, you okay? Did something happen over there? Jason sighed heavily and replied, I probably cannot send the original film right now, Mr. Taylor. I will find a chance to shoot another set soon. Taylor was chill. No rush, Jason. Your visa needs another half month. Anyway, got it. But Evelyn immediately locked onto that keyword. Visa, you want to go abroad? Jason hung up. You and I feel his anger. He forced calm, then quietly began cleaning the absolute mess on the floor. Mr. Taylor's visa expired, Jason lied. He is older and finds it too hard to travel, so he asked me to help him apply. You are lying, Evelyn sneered back. Doesn't Mr. Taylor's son live right here? Why wouldn't he just ask him? Jason rolled his eyes. Why don't you call him and ask him yourself? I am not that bored, she huffed. Then stop asking. Jason spent the entire night cleaning his wrecked bedroom. He didn't even plan to pack the clothes and shoes that Trent had stained and tossed everywhere. He just shoved them deep into a corner of the closet. As for the precious film, Jason salvaged a few rolls, but those originals were totally soaked and completely ruined. All his liquid chemicals leaked out and the powders were destroyed by moisture. Today was clearly just Trent's warning shot. Trent sent Jason a chat message and waited exactly 2 minutes. Right before the timer ran out, he unsent it, that sneaky way. He guaranteed Jason saw it with zero evidence left behind, but after the previous incident, Jason was fully on guard. The second that message popped up, he screenshotted it fast. Jason smirked coldly and fired the screenshot right back. This time, Trent went dead silent for a long time. You and I know he panicked. Did he really think his petty little tricks would work every single time, while Jason just sat around clueless? He vastly underestimated our guy. About 10 minutes later, Trent finally replied, Jason, what is the meaning of this? No meaning, just a warning. After hitting send, Jason turned off his phone completely. He did not care if Trent unsent it or whatever. He just did not care anymore. How would Evelyn react when she saw it? From the very day he decided to leave, Jason dropped every ounce of hope regarding her anyway. The next morning at breakfast, Mr. Vance noticed Jason looked terrible and asked kindly, Jason, did you stay up all night? You look totally awful. I just did not sleep well, but I am fine, Jason replied. A little rest and I will be good. Mr. Vance is right, Trent suddenly chimed in. You need to take good care of your health these next few days. You are going to be super busy at Evelyn's wedding. Jason looked up. The wedding date is officially set. Yes, next weekend. Didn't Evelyn tell you? Mr. Vance sighed heavily. This girl used to tell you every single tiny detail of her life, but now she keeps a massive thing like a wedding a total secret. Unbelievable. Jason checked next weekend's calendar. You and I know the irony, it happened to be. All right, we've reached the exact morning of Jason's flight. Evelyn and Trent stroll out. Trent acts completely clueless. He flashes Jason a massive, fake, innocent smile. Jason, Evelyn, and I agreed. You are absolutely gonna be the lead photographer at our wedding. You gotta make me look super handsome. Jason instantly shuts that down. I have plans that day, hard pass. Trent visibly pouts. Are you still angry about yesterday? I will totally apologize. I'll literally drop to my knees and beg. Right on cue, his knees actually begin to buckle. Evelyn frantically yanks him back up. He completely doesn't deserve your apologies. Watching this circus, Mr. Vance tries playing peacemaker. Trent, please stop. Jason truly treasured those ruined films. Him being angry is perfectly normal, but absolutely nobody needs to kneel here. I just ruined literally everything. Trent pathetically whines out loud. I am just so terribly sorry, Jason. Evelyn immediately comforts him. Just be careful next time. Let's eat, weren't you complaining about starving earlier? Trent just giggles, playfully sticking his tongue out. Well, whose fault is that, if you hadn't kept me up making a crazy fuss? This morning I wouldn't be this exhausted. It is entirely your fault. Sit down and eat, Evelyn says. She pulls his chair out, treating this guy like absolute royalty, even handing him a napkin herself. Once her precious Trent is settled, she finally sits down. Spreading jam on toast, she throws out a cold command. Jason, my wedding is next weekend. Drop whatever stupid plans you have. You are definitely shooting our wedding photos. Just consider it the perfect, happy little ending to our 20 years of growing up together. Suddenly, the front doorbell sharply rings. The maid opens it up, revealing a total stranger. Excuse me, who are you looking for? It's a plainly dressed older woman. She smiles warmly. Hello there, is Jason home? I'm from a local charity. He actually contacted me saying he had tons of clothes to donate to the mountain villages. We officially scheduled the pickup for today. Jason immediately stands up. That's me. The clothes are already packed up. Please wait here a second. Jason heads upstairs and stuffs all his remaining outfits into several huge garbage bags, hauling them right back downstairs. The lady is incredibly grateful. Thank you for your massive kindness, Jason. The weather is freezing, and many mountain kids just don't have enough warm winter clothes. This helps so many people. It's nothing, Jason replies. Please have your crew move these into the truck. Yes, I will absolutely do that. Just wait here. Evelyn suddenly struts over, looking incredibly suspicious. She stares down at the massive pile of stuffed garbage bags, frowning hard. You are donating literally all your clothes. Mr. Vance looks stunned too. Jason, if you want to do charity, let's just donate cash. Why toss your whole wardrobe? It is getting pretty cold. What will you wear? Jason looks at Evelyn, chuckling lightly, and replies, didn't you say you wanted to help Trent compensate me? I'm sick of these old clothes anyway. Once you pay me out, I will just buy brand new ones. Any problem with that? Evelyn stares at him, finally nodding. Fine, how much cash do you want? I'll transfer it now. Jason holds up one single finger. 1 million, fine. No, Jason smirks. 10 million. Trent immediately loses his mind. How can some basic old outfits be worth 10 million? Jason shoots him an absolutely icy glare, then turns back to Evelyn. 10 million. These clothes were all those expensive gifts Evelyn had bought Jason over the years. Now that he was leaving, he refused to take a single thing, and he definitely did not want her money. Like she pointed out, this was the Vance family home. He was just an outsider. 10 million to clear his debt. 20 years of affection, completely erased. Evelyn just looked annoyed. Jason, what exactly are you trying to pull? Should I transfer the cash or not? If you do not want it, fine. She actually hesitated, but ultimately wired the funds straight to him. I have kept my promise, she stated. Consider this compensation for Trent. Do not dare give him a hard time over this ever again. Jason checked his balance, 10 million richer. He simply smiled faintly. Do not worry, that will never happen again, he replied. And regarding Our wedding, Trent really dreams of having you as the photographer. You absolutely must be there. Jason thought it over. His flight was late at night on their wedding day, so he nodded and agreed, but in the days leading up, he basically avoided the Vance house completely. He traveled out to the countryside, shot a stunning new set of bird photos and sent them to Mr. Taylor. After reviewing them, Mr. Taylor was completely ecstatic and immediately video called him. Jason, your composition and color grading are even more refined than before. The magazine publishers over here are going to fight tooth and nail for you. Once you arrive, we will meet with all of them and pick the best offer. Getting that kind of validation felt absolutely amazing. Thank you, Mr. Tyler. Oh, right, did you tell your sister she agreed to let you build your career in Europe, right? Jason smiled. She is also very eager for me to leave. That is great, then you have nothing to worry about. What a surprise. I thought telling her would be a huge hassle. Jason asked Mr. Taylor for his address and shipped all his photography gear to him in advance so he could hold on to it until he arrived. Now watch this. On their wedding day, Jason simply borrowed a camera from the event planning company. Trent had finally achieved his massive dream of marrying into wealth. He could not hide the smug triumph on his face, especially since Jason was taking the photos. Trent strutted around like an absolute conqueror. While Evelyn was busy greeting guests, he practically dragged her over, demanding she take photos with him. Mr. Vance felt bad and tried to step in. Trent, you have taken so many photos already. Let Jason rest for a bit. Jason is a pro, Trent argued back. Taking a few photos will not make him tired, right, Jason? Mr. Vance frowned, clearly completely displeased. I will have the wedding company photographer come take photos for you, too. Jason absolutely needs a break, but the company photographer is nowhere near as good as Jason. Today is the biggest day of our lives, a truly memorable event for me and Evelyn. We must have Jason capture our happiest moments. Jason did not say a single word. After snapping the very last picture, he handed the camera back to the wedding company and turned to walk away. Mr. Vance frantically chased after him. Jason, where are you going? Jason just smiled back. Mr. Vance, Evelyn has Trent to care for her. Now you need to make absolutely sure you take care of your own health, you silly boy. You are my son too, you still have me. Jason grabbed his hands and smiled warmly. I will always be your son. Mr. Vance sighed deeply. Jason, honestly, I really thought you would be my son-in-law, that you would finally call me Dad. Who knew Evelyn would suddenly end up with someone else entirely? Mr. Vance, let us no more talking about the past. Right, exactly. Then his phone rang. It was Mr. Tyler. Jason, are you at the airport yet? When do you land? My wife and I are picking you up. I'm heading there now. See you in 8 hours. Mr. Taylor. Jason hung up the call and checked the time. Departure was getting close. He skipped going back to the Vance house, just hopped in a cab straight to the airport. While he waited in the check-in line, Trent sent him another text message. Jason, thanks so much for personally shooting our wedding. Evelyn and I absolutely love the photos. From now on, remember to call me Big Brother, little bro. Wish us a happy life together. Jason let out a dry laugh, taking a screenshot. This time he sent that screenshot directly to Evelyn, wishing you a happy marriage, sister. Goodbye forever. Done. He blocked both Evelyn and Trent on absolutely everything. From this moment on, they were permanently deleted from his entire world. A flight attendant smiled and greeted him. Sir, wishing you a safe and pleasant journey. Jason smiled back politely. Thank you, I am very happy. And without looking back, he boarded the plane. The exact moment the wheels touched down at Milan Airport, Jason finally felt a massive weight lift right off his shoulders. Mr. Taylor had said he and his wife were coming to pick him up, but Jason clearly spotted a third person waiting with them. Jason, over here. He walked over with a massive smile, giving Mrs. Taylor a warm hug first. She looked just as youthful and beautiful as always. Then he waved at Mr. Taylor, if you do not start taking better care of yourself, You will not be worthy of your gorgeous young wife anymore. Mr. Taylor just burst out laughing. You little brat, have not seen you in years, and the very first thing you do is roast your old teacher. I am not roasting you, I am complimenting you. With that wild, thick beard, you look like a seasoned veteran photographer. You could easily rival Mark Seliger. Get out of here. Mr. Taylor laughed, playfully scolding the young man. You have been spoiled absolutely rotten by your sister since you were a kid. Zero respect. At the mere mention of Evelyn, Mrs. Taylor asked him, did you come alone? Your sister did not see you off. Mr. Taylor peered right behind him. Did she go grab your luggage, Jason? A gentleman should always carry the bags. Jason casually looped one arm around Mr. Taylor and the other around Mrs. Taylor, dragging them both along. I am a grown man. I do not need anyone to see me off. I came here completely by myself. Come on, let us go. I am starving to death here. Mr. Taylor and his wife did not sense anything was wrong and simply walked out with him, but that third person hurried right after them. Jason, wait. Mr. Taylor suddenly slapped his forehead, laughing out loud. Look at my memory, leaving our driver behind. Honestly, we all noticed this girl the exact second he walked out. She looked around 25. Tall, with a truly beautiful and elegant face. She had a gentle, polite smile and was wearing a simple beige cardigan that made her look incredibly soft and completely approachable. Jason, Mr. Taylor introduced her. This right here is your senior Sophie. Do you remember her? Jason quickly searched his brain, then blankly shook his head. I am sorry, is senior Sophie also your student, Mr. Taylor? Mr. Taylor laughed heartily. You honestly do not remember anything, no impression at all. Sophie instantly blushed, looking quite embarrassed. Mr. Taylor, please do not bring up the past. Okay, save me some face. Mr. Taylor just laughed even harder. All right, I will not bring it up, or maybe you can find a chance to bring it up yourself. Sophie grew even more flustered and quickly ran on ahead. I will go get the car. You two wait at the exit. All right, we catch up with Jason staring at Sophie, completely clueless. Mrs. Taylor noticed his totally blank face and chimed in. Jason, don't you remember back in college you delivered a love letter? Jason froze. His eyes went wide. Total shock. Oh, he remembered all right. That whole thing was a massive misunderstanding. He never actually wrote that note. He was just playing delivery boy for his roommate. The guy had a huge crush on a senior, but was way too shy to actually confess. So Jason, being the ultimate bro, volunteered to step up as wingman. He finally spotted his perfect chance down in the lobby, where the girl was quietly sketching. Jason handed her the letter, but before he could even explain, her extremely nosy friends just ripped the note right out of her hands. They read it out loud to everybody. Now, normal love letters are super romantic, but Jason never expected his absolutely timid roommate to write pure chaos. The opening line, you used to be super lazy, and the next line, but now you actually look decent. Jason instantly turned to stone. The poor girl was completely stunned. The whole vibe suddenly turned insanely awkward. She panicked, looked at Jason, apologized endlessly, and quickly chased after her terrible friends. The outcome, because that confession letter was so insanely weird, Jason became an overnight campus legend. Unfortunately, this made his ex Evelyn extremely furious, even though he explained a million times that he did not write the letter or like the girl, that it was one giant misunderstanding. Evelyn stayed furious, and the consequences absolutely brutal. No one knows what strings she pulled, but Evelyn somehow convinced the university president to ship that senior overseas for a public service exchange program. In reality, Evelyn just wanted her permanently banned from his life. Jason felt incredibly guilty about that for ages. She got exiled, and any potential romance between the senior and his roommate was completely destroyed right before it even started. Total tragedy. Because of that mess, Jason and Evelyn had a brutal Cold War for ages. Now watch this. Back at the airport exit, Sophie finally drives up. She stops the car, rolls the window down, and calls out, Mr. Taylor, Mrs. Taylor, Jason, jump in. Now the older couple was being super romantic, so they practically dived right into the back seat together, leaving one open spot, the front passenger seat. Jason just stood there for a moment, not getting in. Jason, why aren't you getting in? Sophie asked him. He thought for a second, then casually asked, Senior, do you have a boyfriend? This totally random question stunned all three of them. Mrs. Taylor immediately covered her mouth, quietly giggling, winking at her husband with a huge nod that practically screamed, "It is game time." Mr. Taylor caught on right away, flashing a very knowing smile. Even Sophie was taken aback, totally confused by Jason's question. He quickly explained, the passenger seat holds serious meaning for any guy. If you have a boyfriend, I can just squeeze into the back with the Taylors. Hearing that, Sophie immediately waved her hands frantically. I don't have a boyfriend, get in. Only then did Jason take the seat. As the car finally started moving, Mrs. Taylor spoke to him softly. Jason, you really do not need to be so overly polite. You two are not strangers, he replied. Politely, no matter how familiar people are, adults still need to maintain proper boundaries. That was a brutal lesson his ex Evelyn had personally taught him. All right, let's watch a day he would never forget. Mrs. Taylor laughed, turning to her husband. See, look how well-behaved our Jason is. He has such good manners. You can just tell he's a good kid. Mr. Taylor nodded in agreement. Absolutely, Jason's sister really treated him well, raising the boy to be such an outstanding young man. Who would have thought a young woman could actually be so excellent at raising a kid? Why call it raising a kid? Mrs. Taylor scolded playfully. You make Evelyn sound like she's from our generation. She is actually very young, Jason. I recall your sister is only 5 years older than you, right? So she must be in her early 30s. Any boyfriend yet? Mr. Taylor quickly tried to hold his wife back. Are you absolutely addicted to matchmaking? Evelyn isn't like Jason. Her marriage isn't something to joke about. Well, that's true. Mrs. Taylor nodded eagerly. With her status and background, even if it's not a strict corporate marriage, she will probably marry into some incredibly wealthy and powerful family. Exactly. Plus, Evelyn is very picky. Let's not get involved. Jason suddenly chimed in. Thank you, Mrs. Taylor, but she already has a boyfriend. Both Mr. and Mrs. Taylor were completely shocked. Since when? How come you never mentioned this? Jason smiled bitterly. How could he say it? That his decision to move abroad was entirely thanks to this new boyfriend. Well, Trent isn't really just a boyfriend anymore. The day Jason boarded his flight, Trent married Evelyn. Guess he should be called Mr. Vance now. I'm grown up, we just have our own lives, we don't interact much anymore. Jason's words were laced with clear distance and alienation. Mrs. Taylor looked extremely worried. Jason, then your decision to go abroad, was it because of your sister's boyfriend? Did he say something because he couldn't tolerate you? Mr. Taylor quickly intervened. Jason going abroad is obviously for better career prospects. Jason took a deep breath and nodded firmly. Exactly, since he had just arrived and hadn't found a place to live. Yet he stayed at Mr. Taylor's house temporarily. Mrs. Taylor had already prepared a room for him. Jason lay on the soft bed, staring at the moonlight outside the window. Everything felt so unfamiliar, almost completely unreal. He had decided to completely sever ties with Evelyn. From now on, his new life started here. But watch this. Over in a bridal chamber plastered with red double happiness symbols, Trent didn't dare speak. Jason had vanished. Halfway through the wedding, Evelyn couldn't find her brother anywhere. She completely abandoned Trent alone on stage in front of the massive crowd of guests, personally leading a search party to find Jason. Trent felt incredibly wronged. He waited until she finally came home. He originally planned to throw a tantrum, act cute, and cry to get her sympathy, but instead, Evelyn looked at him with open disgust and told him to stay away from her. Trent gritted his teeth, wishing he could flay Jason alive. He assumed Jason did it on purpose, just to cause a massive scene purely to ruin his big day with Evelyn. Evelyn, he approached cautiously, trying to nuzzle into her embrace. You've been busy all day, let's rest early. As he spoke, he unbuttoned his jacket, revealing the pink lingerie underneath, silently sending a very clear invitation, but this made Evelyn instantly explode with rage. I told you to stay away from me, do you not understand human speech? She violently ripped her arm right out of his grasp. This terrifies Trent so much his face turns totally ghost white. Evelyn, I know you're worried, but Jason's an adult. He is fine, don't mention him. The very second Jason's name drops, Evelyn's entire aura turns absolutely freezing cold. Right at that moment, she gets a sudden call. Watch this, she answers, and whatever the person on the other end says makes her furious. If you can't find him, keep looking. How does a living, breathing guy just vanish? If anything happens to Jason, you all know exactly what the consequences are. She hangs up, her face brewing a Category 5 hurricane. Coincidentally, another call rings right then, but this time, Evelyn doesn't answer. Immediately, she just stares blankly at the caller ID for a very long time. Trent watches her expression shift to sheer panic. Her hand actually starts to tremble uncontrollably. When she finally answers the phone, her voice is totally shaking. Officer Davis, did you find him? Boom, the phone hits the floor. Evelyn looks like her soul just got sucked out of her body. She's completely paralyzed. Luckily, the phone is durable, and the sudden impact accidentally turns on the speakerphone. Officer Davis's voice echoes right through the quiet room. We did find a male body at the East Suburb Reservoir. Based on age and clothing, it's highly likely to be Mr. Jason. Trent hears this clearly. Jason is dead. Did he commit suicide? Did he love Evelyn so deeply that he killed himself on her wedding day? But a second later, Trent gets a dark thought. Evelyn loved Jason so deeply. If Jason really died because of this, she would definitely blame herself, and he would become the eternal, untouchable white moonlight in her heart forever. No one could ever beat a dead first love. Nobody replaces them. The power of a dead crush is totally unshakable. But so what? With Jason dead, Evelyn would belong entirely to Trent. Nobody would ever snitch on him to her again. A super smug smile creeps onto Trent's lips. Now stick with me. He knows he can't smile yet. He viciously pinches his own thigh, the sharp pain instantly forcing fake tears into his eyes. He takes a sharp breath, covers his mouth, and lets those crocodile tears fall, choking out. Jason, how could this happen? Did he have some massive problem he couldn't solve? He could have told his big brother. I could have helped him. Shut up, Evelyn screams furiously. Who told you that was Jason? Trent, totally terrified by the scolding, stops his fake crying instantly. Didn't Officer Davis just say it was highly likely? Highly likely does not mean it is. Jason is a strong man. He wouldn't seek death. Saying that, Evelyn stands right up, fully ready to storm out. Trent bites his lip, grabbing her arm in this totally pathetic display of victimhood. Where are you going? Today is literally our wedding night. Are you just going to leave me alone? Evelyn slowly turns her head, her sharp eyes narrowing dangerously. Trent, you had better know your absolute place. What the hell are you? She suddenly furrows her brow. Does Jason's sudden disappearance have anything to do with you? Trent immediately denies it. I was the groom today, wearing a suit, surrounded by makeup artists all day. I barely even spoke 2 sentences to him. Evelyn rushes out, leaving behind one chilling final warning. If I find out Jason's disappearance had anything to do with you, Trent, you know exactly how this ends for you. Trent shivers and lets go of her sleeve. That very night, Evelyn rushes straight to the East Suburb Reservoir. She is led to a body covered with a white sheet. Officer Davis points to an evidence bag, showing it to her. These were recovered from the water. These clothes look like his. Miss Vance, can you verify if they belong to Jason? Evelyn barely even looked at them. Honestly, one single glance was totally enough. That light blue shirt was Jason's favorite. For his 18th birthday, she actually gifted it to him. 7 whole years passed. The style was outdated, the color totally faded. but it remained his top choice. Miss Vance, Evelyn let out a shaky breath. It is. His, Officer Davis gave a heavy, sympathetic nod. My deepest condolences, such a young guy leaving this world so soon. It is truly a tragedy. Evelyn just stood there in dead silence. The officer naturally assumed she was overwhelmed by grief. He did not push her, only offering comfort. I heard that. Jason was an insanely talented photographer. Creative people in the arts tend to be a bit more fragile and sensitive. He was not fragile. The officer paused, looking awkward. My apologies, I misspoke. Evelyn slowly shook her head. Not Jason. Wait, did you not just say those clothes were his? He donated all his clothes. Evelyn stepped forward and aggressively yanked the white sheet right off the body. Everyone in the room jumped in pure shock, especially Officer Davis. Miss Vance, what are you doing? Seeing the dead young man's face, all the strength completely drained from her body. Miss Vance, are you all right? Evelyn closed her eyes, letting out this massive sigh of pure relief. It is not him, thank God. Miss Vance, your phone is ringing right now. Need to answer that. Evelyn checked her screen. It was Trent. She instantly hit decline. He called right back. She declined it again. By the third time, Evelyn had entirely lost her patience. What do you want? The caller on the other end was startled by her anger. Their voice actually trembled. So sorry for bothering you, Miss Vance. I have a package here. Is it a good time for you to sign? Evelyn blinked. A package for me? Yes, I brought it straight to your villa gates. Are you free to sign? I am busy right now. Understood. Sorry to bother. I will contact you tomorrow. Wait. Evelyn suddenly realized a critical detail. Who sent it? It says Mr. Jason. Evelyn froze up. She quietly snapped at her staff. I am heading back immediately. Wait right here. Evelyn drove back home faster than she ever had in her life. Now watch this. She ran into the delivery guy at the gate, but his hands were completely empty. Where is my package? Evelyn grabbed his collar. Didn't you say I had a delivery from Jason? The poor guy was terrified. Miss Vance. Mr. Vance already signed for the box. I just handed it to him. There is no Mr. Vance in my house. He is not here. She paused. That guy claiming the title was clearly Trent. Evelyn practically kicked the villa door down. Where is Trent? Right then, Trent was hiding in the bathroom, having a massive, full-blown panic attack. He was frantically dumping the box contents into the toilet, aggressively mashing the flush button down, but exactly 1 second later, that bathroom door was kicked open by Evelyn. She snatched that box right out of Trent's sweaty hands and anxiously flipped through the items. It was packed with photos of her teenage years, slowly blossoming into a mature woman. Shots in her school uniform, in a basketball jersey, in sharp business suits, lazy loungewear, front profiles, side views, back profiles. Every single one was her, all taken by Jason. Some she knew existed, while others she had absolutely no clue about. Secret, candid shots he had taken, from his early unpolished attempts to those eventual masterful compositions where his photography skills had truly peaked. Their absolute peak. You and I are looking at Jason's entire photography practice log, with Evelyn as his only muse. Sure, his early skills were a little rough, but the pure heart poured into every shot, undeniable. Evelyn's entire being seemed wrapped in this golden, radiant glow. His deep love bleeding through the lens was overflowing, basically bursting off the page. Later, under his camera lens, she became a mature woman, sometimes fiercely serious at her job, sometimes eating with this gentle grace. Every single picture was her. Evelyn is frantically flipping through them now, crying, then laughing, then just sobbing again. Jason liked her. He used these photos to silently scream that he loved her. He had loved her since childhood. When she reaches that final picture, Evelyn completely freezes. This is a wedding photo taken by Jason himself. There she is, wearing a white gown, her arm linked with another man. Her heart suddenly twists with this violent, agonizing pain. She tightly presses a hand to her chest, the photo slipping right through her fingers. Ignoring that excruciating pain, she scrambles to grab it back, only to notice there is actual writing On the back side, it is Jason's familiar handwriting. She picks it up, carefully reading. Evelyn may be starting today. I should really change how I address you. I should truly call you sister. Sister, I wish you endless happiness. Evelyn feels like it. Massive gaping hole has just been ripped open in her chest, freezing wind howling through. She frantically flips every single photo over to read the backs. Evelyn, you look so cool playing basketball today. Evelyn, I am 18 now, an adult, I want to choose the person I love myself. I like you, did you know that? Evelyn, I caught you on camera again. You are so scary when you are fiercely lecturing people, but you have never been fierce with me. Does that mean I am a bit special? Evelyn, we will be together in the future, right? But it feels like I am getting less and less sure. Can you please just give me a straight answer? Evelyn, I really did not write that love letter, but seeing you get so incredibly angry over me proves that you still care about me, right? Evelyn, do you actually like me, or do you just see me as a little brother? Evelyn sees this photo was torn clean in half, obviously ripped up. The back only has the word Evelyn, the rest of the message is missing. Evelyn absolutely loses her mind and grabs Trent by the wrist. Where is the other half? Evelyn, do not be like this, you are scaring me, I asked. You, where is the other half? Trent just stammers, pointing toward the bathroom toilet. I tore it into pieces and flushed it down. Evelyn violently throws his arm away, sending Trent crashing hard onto the floor. Evelyn, Trent trembles in fear, trying to explain himself. Jason actually had highly inappropriate thoughts about you. He even sent these photos to you. What if these fell right into the media's hands? It would completely ruin your reputation. I was only trying to protect you by destroying them. Get out, I do not want you here. I am your husband, Evelyn. Jason is gone. Let me stay by your side. Trent scrambles up from the floor, absolutely desperately trying to hug her, but watch this, guys. Evelyn shows zero mercy, shoving him right back down to the floor, towering over him, pointing a finger in warning. I do not want to get physical with you. Get the hell out yourself. Evelyn, wait, get out. Trent knows Evelyn is on the absolute brink of exploding right now. Okay, I will go to the kitchen and cook for you. You must be hungry. I will go right now, Evelyn warns him, coldly enunciating every single word. Get out of Jason's and my house. Security makes one swift move. Trent and all his junk got literally tossed right outside. Evelyn finally felt the deep silence settle into the house. She grabbed the box of old photos, holding it tight, slowly tracing her own face with her fingertips. Jason had arrived at the Vance family home as a little kid. Even his handwriting was taught by Evelyn, carefully guiding his tiny hand stroke by stroke. Where exactly are you, Jason? Evelyn clutched that photo box like a completely priceless artifact. Jason, where are you? Suddenly, Jason jolted awake from a dream. Mrs. Taylor noticed how pale he looked and asked, did you have a nightmare? Jason finally snapped back to reality. Today, Mr. and Mrs. Taylor brought him out to eat, planning to introduce him to a big foreign magazine editor-in-chief. But get this, an emergency delayed the editor. She wouldn't even arrive until 11 a.m. Jason had been having super restless sleep lately, so he ended up totally dozing off on the restaurant sofa. Sophie handed him a tissue with her pale, clean hands. He paused for a quick second before taking it. Thanks, Senior Sophie. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead, clearly still shaken from that bad nightmare. Sophie smiled gently. A nightmare? It is fine, you are awake now. All scary things disappear when you wake up. You have Mr. Taylor, Mrs. Taylor, and me right here by your side, Mrs. Taylor playfully added. And what else? Sophie chuckled shyly, pointing right at the bright sunlight outside. And this beautiful weather, getting some sun will definitely improve your mood, Mrs. Taylor laughed out loud, deciding not to hold back. And you have the brilliant sunshine keeping our Jason company. Sophie blushed deeply, seeing his expression was still a little off. Mrs. Taylor looked truly worried. Jason, do not be too nervous. This editor is a fantastic person, super humorous and fun. She is also an old Friend of mine, she has seen your photography before and is very impressed. Jason nodded. I know, I just had a bad dream. What did you dream? The past, what is so scary about the past? Your sister spoiled you totally rotten. Treating you like absolute royalty. It should have been a sweet dream. Jason really didn't know how to explain it. Sophie jumped in to save him. No one lives in a honeypot their entire life. Jason has his own personal struggles too, right? Was it just because your sister was way too strict with you? I think Mr. Taylor mentioned it before. But you know exactly how parents are. They are constantly stressed out about their kids. Your sister was just overly worried about you. Sophie quickly turned back to Mrs. Taylor. Listen, Mrs. Taylor, Jason is his own independent person. Let us not bring up his sister all the time. Mrs. Taylor looked a bit confused, but seeing Jason silently agreeing, she nodded. All right, we will not bring her up then. Jason shot Sophie a deeply grateful look. Thanks, Senior Sophie. It was not that he could not let go of Evelyn. From the very second he boarded that plane, Jason resolved to completely move on, but his entire life experience was so incredibly deeply intertwined with hers, whether it was his classmates, close friends, or teachers. Basically everyone who talked to Jason eventually brought up Evelyn. He had to admit, Sophie understood him perfectly. Only by completely distancing himself from Evelyn could he truly feel like an independent guy, no longer anchoring his personal joy and sorrow to someone else. Completely unburdened, true freedom remained. The editor-in-chief finally arrived. She was indeed a super humorous middle-aged woman. The first thing she asked him was, have we met before? Jason was fully prepped. His mood locked in, ready to crush this interview. I'm Jason, ma'am, and that pickup line for flirting is honestly a little outdated. The editor just laughed out loud. You're a funny guy, Jason, but he wasn't just funny, his photography skills absolute top tier. He was confident, charismatic, sharp, and completely hilarious. Finally away from Evelyn, Jason could still shine entirely on his own. Before he left, the editor urged him to start working. Recently, their magazine had actually scored an exclusive interview. The subject had quite the heavy background, and they desperately needed a brilliant photographer. Mr. Jason, if you're up for it, you can come report to the office anytime. He gladly accepted. Oh, by the way, the editor quickly added, what I said earlier wasn't a pickup line. I seriously feel like I've seen you somewhere before. Jason smoothly replied, I just arrived in Milan. Maybe you just saw some other handsome guy who looks like me. The editor didn't press it. Maybe. So, after parting ways, the editor sat in her car, racking her brain. Where did I see him last? Her driver suddenly asked. Boss, you like that kid? The editor immediately shot back. He's way younger than me. I just see him as a little brother. But suddenly, a light bulb went off in her head. I remember where I saw him. Now you and I should check on Evelyn. She was mid-conversation with Officer Davis. They had been searching for days with absolutely zero results, and Officer Davis advised her to prepare for the worst. But Evelyn, she absolutely refused to accept it. Officer Davis laid it out straight. Mr. Jason went missing from your wedding. He didn't take any luggage, didn't take his wallet. He honestly took nothing, and it's been this long. We haven't received a single distress call from him. Miss Vance, you need to mentally prepare yourself. Then, Evelyn's phone suddenly rang. She answered it. What is it, Eric? I'm busy. I just saw your little brother. Evelyn didn't even know how she survived the 8-hour flight, hearing Eric's shocking news. Her first reaction was sheer disbelief. Jason had gone abroad to Milan. She immediately had people check the airport passenger manifests, but there was zero record of his boarding information anywhere. Yet mostly, she felt profound relief. At least he was still around. Jason was alive, and that was totally good enough. But immediately after, a massive tidal wave of anger hit her. Why did he leave without a word? Even if he wanted to develop his career abroad, why didn't he ever mention it to her? Jason had found a brand new apartment and officially moved out of Mr. Taylor's house. Being a guest was Fine, and though Mr. and Mrs. Taylor totally adored him, he didn't want to impose for too long. Sophie knew about this and naturally volunteered to help him move, since he had arrived completely empty-handed with zero luggage. Moving into a new place meant he desperately needed to hit the mall to buy some home decor. While strolling through a nice fabric store, Jason popped into the restroom. When he finally came out, Sophie was still waiting in the exact same spot. However, she was now somehow accompanied by a 2 or 3-year-old toddler. She was crouching down, playing with the kid who was happily waving its little arms, clearly loving her company. Senior Sophie, seeing him approach, Sophie just smiled and explained, "The baby's mom went to the restroom too. She asked me to watch the baby for a bit." Jason was pretty surprised. "Do you know the mom?" "No. And she just randomly trusted you to watch her baby." Sophie looked a little flustered. "I don't know why, but whenever I go out, people always ask me for directions or ask for his help. You and I can totally understand why." Sophie was an incredibly gentle, sweet, and kind-hearted girl. She and Evelyn were total polar opposites. "Jason, I need to tell you something. I like you." He looked up. Sophie seemed shy, but she gathered her courage. "The truth is, back in college I already liked you, but after that love letter fiasco happened, I was sent abroad. I never got the chance to confess. This time when Mr. Taylor told me you finally agreed to come abroad, I was just so incredibly happy." Honestly, Jason wasn't even surprised, since arriving in Milan, even though Sophie had that senior title, her actions definitely went way past being just a casual acquaintance. Jason wasn't oblivious. He figured it out, and to be completely honest, he wasn't totally against the idea. He genuinely thought Sophie was an absolutely wonderful person. He just didn't expect a confession this fast. Jason asked her, "We've only been hanging out for a short time. Don't you think this is slightly too fast?" "Life is way too short," Sophie replied, "because I wasn't brave before. We missed out on 7 whole years. This time, I'm not hiding in the shadows, nursing some secret crush anymore. I want to tell you exactly how I feel. I'm fully prepared for rejection, but I absolutely refuse to stay silent. That just leads to missing out again." Her words really shook Jason. It made sense. He had loved Evelyn for so many years, always waiting for her to make a move. Was it really that complicated? He could have just taken the initiative, told Evelyn exactly how he felt. Even if he got rejected, the worst possible scenario would just be exactly where they were right now. "Jason, you don't have to answer me right away. Think it over." But before Sophie could even finish, a massive force suddenly yanked Jason backwards into a tight embrace. Get this, the second that familiar perfume hit his senses, Jason knew exactly who it was. Nobody was more familiar with that intense embrace than he was. Yet even though only a few days had passed, it suddenly felt completely foreign. "It really is you. Thank God you're actually okay. This is amazing. Come on, let's go home." Sophie blinked. "Jason, who is this?" He firmly pushed Evelyn away, establishing a completely appropriate, painfully polite distance between them. Then he calmly introduced her. "Allow me to introduce you too. This is my sister." Evelyn frowned hard, totally questioning that title. "Sister, Jason, those photos you sent me, I saw them all." Jason's expression didn't even twitch. He just let out a totally nonchalant, "Oh. But a few of them were destroyed by Trent," he replied casually. "He is your husband. He has every right to deal with your belongings however he wants. He is not my—" Evelyn grabbed Jason's shoulders, desperately trying to explain herself. "Jason, no, I never married him. When I realized you were missing, I completely canceled the wedding. I've been looking absolutely everywhere for you. There was even a young boy who took his own life wearing clothes you donated, and I actually thought you." Jason furrowed his brow. "Sister, please let go. You're actually hurting me. Stop calling me sister." Jason looked up and smiled. "Watch this. Fine, Mrs. Vance, is that better?" Evelyn was utterly infuriated now. "Jason," he took a deep breath and then slowly, deliberately peeled her iron grip off his shoulders. He took a step back, standing right beside Sophie, I wasn't finished introducing earlier. Miss Vance, this right here is my girlfriend Sophie. Sophie looked a little shocked, but the person who was way more shocked was definitely Evelyn. How long have you even known her, and she's already your girlfriend? Jason, stop treating your life like a joke, sister, just because knowing someone longer doesn't mean the bond is stronger. Watch closely. Jason's words carry a brutal double meaning. Evelyn definitely catches the massive hint here. She takes a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. Jason, can we talk? Sister, we have absolutely nothing to discuss. Your new husband is waiting for you. I am living great in Milan. Got a job, got someone by my side. Thanks for caring for me all these years. I will fully repay you and the Vance family. I don't want your damn repayment. Then what do you want? Evelyn chokes up. She desperately wants him, but staring into Jason's freezing cold eyes, she can't bring herself to actually say it. Sister, go home. You already failed one guy. Don't fail Trent too. He isn't my man. Jason, please just give me 10 minutes. Okay, I just want to explain everything. My new girlfriend and I are quite busy. Next time maybe. Jason gently grabs Sophie's hand and she follows him. As they walk away, after putting some solid distance between them, Sophie whispers to him, your sister still hasn't left. She's just standing there. Don't look back at her. Let's go look at other furniture. Do we really just ignore her? She looks so incredibly lonely. Jason chuckles. She just got married. She holds a husband in her heart. How could she possibly be lonely? Sophie spends the entire afternoon walking through the mall with Jason. He buys tons of really sweet anime figures, some wall art, and a massive stuffed bear that is completely whiter than Sophie. As she lugs this giant bear through the mall, everyone totally stares. Sophie gets a little embarrassed, asking Jason if she looks ridiculous. He stays totally silent, but two random girls walking past answer for her. No, we think you really love your boyfriend. Sophie's face immediately turns beet red. She awkwardly tries to excuse herself. It's so hot. Seriously, this bear is just too warm. Jason can't help laughing. You and I see it. An innocent, gentle girlfriend is actually great. At least he won't have to constantly guess if she truly loves him or not. She proves it with actions. By the time Sophie drives Jason home, it's already pitch black. Arriving at his place, Sophie politely declines to step inside, choosing instead to help drop his things by the door. Jason asks why she's standing outside and invites her in. Sophie still feels it isn't appropriate. Jason, what you said today, was it honestly true about being my boyfriend? Jason calmly thinks about it for a split second, then gives a firm nod. It's true. I accept your confession and admire your courage, but right now, my feelings for you are just at the dating stage. I haven't reached love yet. If you don't mind, we can slowly get to know each other. Sophie is ecstatic. Really? Jason smiles and nods. Yeah. What did you think? I honestly thought you were throwing a tantrum to make your sister jealous, doing it on purpose. Jason lets out a heavy sigh. If this were the past, maybe, but now I'm dead serious. I truly want a fresh life. Jason, you liked your sister, didn't you? Sophie asks, since he hasn't hidden it before. Jason nods and admits it. Yes, he originally thinks Sophie will ask about his current plans or act totally shocked that he harbors inappropriate feelings for his sister, but when Sophie aggressively helps him drag that giant bear into the house, looking completely sweaty and out of breath, Jason can't help laughing. What is it? He asks. I thought you would ask if I still liked. Didn't Jason just say it himself? That was all in the past. Sophie quickly wiped her face and smiled brightly. I believe you, she said. Time just flowed like water. After that whole mall incident, Evelyn completely vanished from their lives. Honestly, our boy barely even thought about his ex anymore. Sophie treated him so incredibly well. No desperate drama, no toxic clinginess, just pure affection. It was like a gentle drizzle, slow and nurturing. That pure peace and stability made Jason feel incredibly secure. Then one morning, he got a call from the Milan magazine's head editor. Jason, I have a friend who's an MC. He's Interviewing a massive celebrity today, that VIP I told you about last time. We're missing a brilliant photographer. Do you have time to help us out? Sure, I can go. Perfect. Best case scenario, you head to the set right now to discuss the details. I'll text the location and contact info. The editor was absolutely thrilled. He agreed. Knowing it was super urgent, Jason didn't waste a single second. He caught a cab rushing to the studio at top speed. When he arrived, the crew and equipment were totally set up. They were literally just waiting for their photographer. Jason scanned the room, but before he could even find the guy Mr. Taylor mentioned, someone else completely caught his eye. The set was packed with staff, super noisy, but just standing there, Evelyn was easily the most striking person in the room. But get this, he never expected the VIP being interviewed to actually be her. She hadn't left the country yet, had she been in Milan this entire time. Jason analyzed the situation calmly, totally surprised to find he had exactly zero lingering feelings anymore. It wasn't until Evelyn unnaturally looked his way that their eyes locked across the room. Neither of them stepped forward to say hi, but Jeff noticed the shift in her gaze and looked over, completely confused. Then his face lit up, walking straight toward our guy. You must be Jason. I didn't expect you so quickly. This is fantastic. The editor sent me. Jason took the perfect opportunity to break eye contact with Evelyn and greet Jeff instead. Even though it was their first meeting, Jeff clearly really liked Jason. I've heard Mr. Taylor talk about you. I knew you were young and talented, but I didn't expect someone this handsome. He led Jason straight toward Evelyn. Miss Vance, this is Jason, a highly renowned young photographer. With his help, today's shoot will go incredibly smoothly. Evelyn gave a cold, dismissive look. Jason, let me introduce you. This is Miss Vance. What's the genre and theme today? Jason cut in smoothly. We can discuss your requirements first, then get straight to work. Saves time and effort for everyone. Whatever Miss Vance prefers is fine with me. I have no objections. Jeff completely forgot his own introduction. He was acting as the middleman between them. Miss Vance is a VIP we worked super hard to invite. If she likes it, we can accommodate any style. Evelyn rarely did public appearances, so they were terrified of losing the massive hype this interview would generate. From start to finish, Jason didn't reveal that Evelyn and he already knew each other. Please, Miss Vance, speak your mind, he said calmly. The address was painfully polite, strictly professional. Evelyn answered with complete irrelevance. The environment here is a bit chaotic. It's almost lunchtime. Anyway, why don't the three of us find a restaurant, sit down and talk while we… All right, watch this. Evelyn invited both Jason and Jeff, but her eyes were glued to Jason. Her gaze was intense, burning, like she was terrified he would just vanish again. Jason had absolutely zero interest in that. He already had lunch plans and could not stay long. He suggested Jeff and Evelyn discuss things. Once they completely finalized all the photo requirements, they could just send him a document. Right on cue, Jason's phone started ringing. Perfect timing. With a real incoming call, Jason didn't even have to fake in. Excuse, he answered it right in front of them. It was Sophie, her voice totally gentle as always. Are you done with work? I was just about to head home. I can pick you up and we can head to Mr. Taylor's house together. Jason agreed. No matter where Jason planned to go, Sophie always made it on her way. He smiled, eyes crinkling. Just finished, heading out now. Sophie then happily revealed to him, what a coincidence, I actually just pulled up outside the studio. Really, that is a coincidence. Sophie let out a soft laugh, not explaining further. Honestly though, they both knew she deliberately came early just to wait for him. Jason didn't expose her. He simply hung up and said his goodbyes to Jeff. You heard it, I gotta go. For lunch, Evelyn became the only person completely ignored here. She and Jeff just stood together watching Jason jog right out of the studio. He quickly hopped straight into Sophie's car. Jeff watched them drive off and said admiringly to Evelyn, they are both top students of a friend of mine. I heard they are deeply in love with it. Very stable relationship. Probably won't be long before we hear wedding bells. Every single word Jeff spoke felt like a literal knife plunging right into Evelyn's heart. Her complexion had grown visibly darker, and honestly, it only seemed to be getting worse before Jeff could even finish gushing about the golden couple. She abruptly cut him off. I have an emergency this afternoon. We will eat some other time. Oh, all right. Take care, Miss Vance, Jeff merely added once. You are done. Please don't forget to send me your photo requirements so I can forward them to Mr. Jason. Jeff totally assumed this was their first meeting. Evelyn either didn't hear him or purposely ignored him. She didn't even look back once, walking away at a blistering pace. Poor Jeff, who had been having a pleasant conversation with her earlier, was left absolutely baffled by her sudden 180 personality flip. No one on set had offended her. Jeff was practically screaming internally with pure confusion. Meanwhile, you and I should check on Sophie, who had a similar question, but she directed it at Jason. What is wrong? You don't look too good. Jason didn't answer directly, just relaxing back into the passenger seat. The weather has been changing a lot lately, just feeling a bit cold. Sophie always thought of others first. How about we grab something hot for lunch? Mr. Taylor mentioned wanting hot pot. We can buy some groceries and have a hot, steaming hot pot at his place. You probably won't feel cold after that. It was a perfectly timed suggestion. Not wanting to ruin her mood, Jason went with her to the supermarket to buy groceries. By the time they brought the food over to Mr. Taylor's house, it was perfectly on time for lunch. Mr. Taylor was thrilled to see his students bring food. You guys have great timing. He took the groceries straight into the kitchen, not forgetting to smile warmly at Jason. Your sister happens to be here, too. It is rare for everyone to eat together, so I will make a bit extra. Sophie instinctively glanced right at Jason. Okay, his expression didn't change at all. Jason smiled back at Mr. Taylor, heading into the kitchen to help prep the food. They only stepped into the dining room once everything was totally ready. By then, Sophie and Evelyn were treating each other like thin air, having sat there in silence for quite a while. The hot pot on the table was steaming like crazy, but the people sitting around it were dead silent. Nobody dared to start a conversation. The only noise, Sophie using her chopsticks to drop food into the pot, somehow louder than the boiling broth itself. Jason sat between Sophie and his mentor, originally hoping to avoid Evelyn completely, but looking up, he quickly realized they were sitting directly across from each other. Evelyn glared right at Jason for a moment before suddenly starting up a super polite conversation with Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor, I'm just not sure how Jason is doing abroad lately. Is his work and life going smoothly? She could have asked Jason directly, but nope, she insisted on beating around the bush right in front of him. Mr. Taylor, totally blind to the heavy tension, grabbed a piece of fish with his chopsticks and answered honestly. Jason is doing great. Literally everyone who works with him has nothing but absolute praise. My friends keep telling me exactly how lucky I am to have taught such a brilliant student. Hope he hasn't caused any trouble. Mr. Taylor immediately shook his head. Of course not. Jason and Sophie visit me all the time. Honestly, if it weren't for them, my life would be completely boring. As he spoke, he glanced right between Sophie and Jason, his proud smile growing wider. Mrs. Vance, this is Sophie, also my amazing student. Jason probably introduced her to you already, so I won't say too much. But out of every student I have ever taught, these two are the absolute best. Mr. Taylor's intention to play matchmaker right in front of Evelyn was painfully obvious, but Evelyn did not even let him finish his sentence. Polite, but fiercely cold, she just cut him off. I understand what you mean, Mr. Taylor, but they are simply not a good match. Mr. Taylor's smile completely froze. Evelyn cast a sidelong glance at Sophie and casually said, I came here today specifically to discuss something major with Jason. I already picked out a future wife for him. Wait, really? I have never heard Jason mention this before, Mr. Taylor, out of sheer genuine concern, could not help but ask, who exactly is she? Do I know her? Yeah, you could say you know her. So what is her background? Evelyn paused. For a brief moment before answering, she runs her very own company. Her financial situation is flawless. She can easily provide Jason with whatever he wants to do. Her reputation in the industry is rock solid, and more importantly, she likes Jason very much. Now you and I know Jason realized exactly who she was talking about. Unable to tolerate this nonsense any longer, he cut in. Enough, his sudden outburst caught everyone's attention. Mr. Taylor stared at Jason, a guy who was usually incredibly calm, suddenly blowing up. The teacher finally realized something was seriously wrong, his shocked eyes darting between Evelyn and Jason. Suspecting some massive family feud, fully aware of the situation, Jason took a deep breath, steadied himself, and fired back. Sorry, but I have no interest in money. I actually enjoy my current job, and the salary is plenty for me to do what I want. I don't need you worrying about me, Evelyn replied darkly. If I don't look after you, who will? Jason snapped back. I am an adult, the master of my own life. I don't need anyone taking responsibility for me, and I certainly do not need your call it management. You grew up right by my side, Evelyn coldly stated. Your parents are gone, so naturally I must keep you in check. I can't let you get scammed by some random girl. Evelyn was absolutely furious at this point. The icy glare she shot at Sophie could freeze water solid. How could Jason possibly endure this anymore? He finally decided to go all out and fight back. I am not with Sophie just to make you mad. I genuinely think she is an incredible person. Being with her these past few days has been both fun and comfortable. I said no, and I mean no. Enraged beyond belief, Evelyn abruptly interrupted him. The chopsticks in her hand violently slammed onto the table with a loud smack. Jason, come home with me right now. At this point, Jason completely stopped caring about saving Mr. Taylor's face. He stood up abruptly. This is not the Vance house, and this isn't some place for you to throw your weight around and force everyone to obey you. Jason, I am just worried you will get tricked. You keep saying you have to manage me, then tell me right now, under exactly what title are you managing me? As a stranger, an acquaintance, or as my sister in name only? Jason heavily emphasized those last few words. Evelyn was totally backed into a corner. If she admitted to that sister title, she would permanently obliterate any romantic possibility with him. They would forever just remain siblings in name. But if she didn't admit it, she essentially surrendered all rights to interfere in his marriage. We can all feel the tension here. Mr. Taylor finally grasped. They were aggressively arguing over Jason's love life. He looked at Sophie awkwardly and tried to desperately defuse the bomb. All right, Miss Vance, even if you have some suitable candidate, do not rush it. Let Jason express his thoughts, and we can discuss things slowly. No, Evelyn's icy stance remained completely unyielding. There is nothing to discuss. Not wanting to put Mr. Taylor in a worse spot, Jason simply grabbed his coat. I am sorry, I am so sorry. This was supposed to be a nice hot pot meal and I totally ruined it. You guys go ahead and eat. I will leave. Jason walked out, specifically telling Sophie not to feel awkward and to stay and eat with Mr. Taylor. Once again, Evelyn was completely ignored by him, and she was absolutely fuming. Disregarding Mr. Taylor's advice, she angrily stormed out after him. Jason, stop right there. Jason pretended not to hear her, walking down the street at an even faster pace. Seeing that he was about to leave the neighborhood entirely, Evelyn threw away her dignity, sprinting up to grab his arm, practically begging. Jason, please listen to me. Evelyn, how many times do I have to say this for you to understand? I know what you want to say, but I do not want to hear it. Their intense argument ended with Evelyn physically shoving Jason into her car, parked on the street. She aggressively pinned him into the passenger seat and locked the doors from the inside. Now, even if he did not want to talk to her, Jason was trapped inside this claustrophobic space with her. You have already ruined everything. What more do You want, Jason yelled, his eyes burning red with pure anger, his voice trembling. This is a foreign country. Your little tricks will not work here if you do not let me out. I will sue you for false imprisonment. His words were not as resolute as her crazy attitude. She took a deep breath, speaking in a hoarse voice he had never heard before. Pay attention here. I am sorry. I did this because I just want to tell you one thing. After you left, I finally realized something big, the truth. Evelyn confessed, the person I have liked all along was you, so no matter who you choose, I will not allow it. The only person spending the rest of your life with you is me. Evelyn finally showed a rare moment of weakness in front of him, but honestly, even this confession sounded more like a military command. You and I would find it absurd too. Letting out a light chuckle, he shot back. Sister, you have the wrong guy. You should not be saying this to me. You should go say this to Trent. Hearing that, Evelyn rubbed the bridge of her nose, clearly getting a massive headache. She groaned, can we please not bring him up? No, we cannot. He purposely provoked her. Sister, I have already accepted Trent as my brother-in-law. I genuinely wish you two a whole century of harmony and hope you have kids soon. What more do you want? Oh, wait, did you two get into a fight? Every time he spoke, he deliberately added a sharp sister. This gave her an insane headache. She could not focus, leaving her chest tight and completely breathless. She wanted to tell him to stop calling her that, but she could not find a proper excuse, leaving her choking on her own words, catching her totally distracted. He seized the perfect moment. Watch this. He violently slammed his fist against the window, screaming for help at the top of his lungs. By pure luck, police officers were patrolling that exact street. Hearing the wild commotion, they immediately stopped and approached the car. Only then did Evelyn realize he meant exactly what he said. His threat was absolutely not a bluff, but it was too late. An officer knocked sternly on the driver side window. Ma'am, please step out of the vehicle. Extremely reluctantly, Evelyn unlocked the doors, facing police interrogation right alongside him. She desperately tried to explain, Officer, this is a misunderstanding. We actually know each other. He just does not want to be siblings with me anymore. Her frantic attitude only made the police way more suspicious. The officer looked her up and down, then turned to confirm with our guy. Is that true? He replied coldly. She is just a sister with absolutely no blood relation. That is all. Evelyn stared at him in pure disbelief. She was completely agitated, her lips moving to speak, but the police officers gave her zero chance. He stood there completely cold until he confirmed that Evelyn was being dragged to the station for questioning, refusing to stick around any longer. He called Sophie. Can you come pick me up now? Where are you? I am on my way. Sophie did not even ask why. She just rushed over as fast as possible. He stood alone by the side of the road, looking so thin and fragile, like a strong gust of wind might blow him away. When he saw her pull up, he asked softly, Is Mr. Taylor okay? He is fine, just a bit confused. Sophie gently comforted him. No worries, I explained things to him. He just nodded quietly. Sophie clearly wanted to say more, but held back. She did not ask why he looked even more depressed. It was not until she brought him home, poured him a hot cup of tea, and placed it right in his hands that she finally asked out of deep concern, Is your sister regretting it? Sophie was gentle, but definitely not stupid. Normal siblings do not get into wild, screaming physical matches on the street over a younger brother and his love life. He nodded slightly, but I do not regret it. He looked up at Sophie, his eyes completely resolute. Without a shred of hesitation, get this, he declared, from now on there are only two options between me and her. We are either biological siblings or just total strangers. Let us see what she chooses. The past is the past. Now what he wants is a completely fresh start. Back at the police station, Evelyn was being interrogated. She waited half a day. Finally, her assistant showed up with the right paperwork to bail her out. Stepping outside for some fresh air, the assistant saw her completely foul mood and smartly made himself invisible after finishing the job. But right at this hypersensitive moment, Trent had the Absolute nerve to show up. Seeing her, he came sprinting over with tears in his eyes. Evelyn, help me. They pushed me into a corner. I had to run away, but I never expected them to track me down. He kept spewing this pathetic sob story, acting like he'd literally drop dead if Evelyn didn't save his skin, but you and I know she saw right through him. She sighed out, how much cash do you need? Trent practically lit up. He was just about to demand a massive payout when he noticed Evelyn checking her phone. Her entire expression shifted. She stared at him like he was already in a coffin. Evelyn, what's going on? He shivered, instinctively taking a very careful step toward her. She just laughed, ice cold. When you texted, Jason did. You have that same look on your face. The second she dropped those words, Trent froze solid, forcing a super stiff smile. Text? What text? Wait, hasn't Jason been missing? How would I even contact him? Impossible. He figured she should have just totally given up by now, but Evelyn didn't even waste her breath. She shoved her glowing screen right in his face. A few seconds ago, the private investigator she hired back home finally cracked the case, sending her the recovered data from a phone. Look at this. Trent stared at the texts he had actually sent. Pure panic flashed across his face, but he quickly gritted his teeth and lied. Evelyn, I swear I didn't send these. Someone's trying to frame me. It's Jason. He always hated me. Shut up. Evelyn screamed, absolutely freezing. The whole street went dead quiet. You could literally hear a pin drop. Evelyn's hand gripping that phone was shaking uncontrollably, looming over him. She dropped one final, brutal question. Did you force Jason to leave the country? Every single clue she previously ignored suddenly clicked together, exposing the ugly truth right in front of her, staring at Evelyn, whose attitude just pulled a massive 180. Trent was terrified, but he couldn't afford to lose his favorite cash cow. Dropping his voice, he tried playing innocent. Evelyn, I've always liked the guy. How could I bully him? His pathetic voice got smaller and smaller until it totally vanished. Meeting Evelyn's absolutely freezing death glare, Trent didn't dare utter a sound. You and I know he's totally screwed this time. Evelyn's head spun with pure rage and soul-crushing regret, but she couldn't rewind the clock. She could only blame herself, refusing to give Trent even one more look. She dropped a chilling final sentence. I told you, Jason is my absolute bottom line. You could play along with my little act to make him confess, to make him see my worth, but you were strictly forbidden from ever hurting him, not even one hair. Now get out. Trent started violently shaking. He tried grabbing the edge of Evelyn's coat, but she sidestepped, leaving his pathetic hand hanging in midair. He started bawling and begging. I really didn't do it. Evelyn was just completely disgusted now. She turned her back, absolutely refusing to look at him. Calls suddenly came ringing in from the head maid back home, keeping her back to Trent. She answered. What is it? The maid was reporting the investigation wrapped up. The tech specialist they hired to recover that security footage is done. The video just arrived. And yes, you and I guessed right, someone intentionally provoked young Master Jason. The veins on the back of Evelyn's hand practically burst. She already had a strong feeling. She turned around slowly, glaring daggers at Trent. He was shaking, completely terrified, but he didn't dare run away. He owed massive online debts. If he couldn't squeeze cash out of Evelyn, his creditors would literally end him. Evelyn listened coldly as the maid dropped Trent's name. It was him all along. He intentionally smeared lipstick on himself just to make Jason misunderstand. At this point, the whole setup was painfully obvious. They are all adults. Lipstick smeared on a neck obviously looks exactly like a hickey. Trent watched in pure panic as Evelyn hung up. She turned around and gestured to her assistant standing right there. Deal with him, she ordered coldly. I never want to see him again. The assistant immediately got the message. He waved his guys over to grab Trent, physically stopping him from crying, screaming, or throwing himself at her feet. Evelyn just got into her car alone, speeding straight toward Jason's apartment. She had to find him and clear up this massive misunderstanding. even if Jason still refused to forgive her, even if he walked away. At the very least, she could not let him move on with someone else so fast, but she was late. No matter how hard Evelyn knocked, that apartment door stayed completely and eerily silent, not a single sound. Refusing to give up, she called out, "Jason, it is me, your sister." Click, a door opened behind her. A neighbor, totally unable to tolerate the noise any longer, poked his head out. "Miss, please stop making a racket. Nobody is there anymore." Evelyn froze in place. Did they go out? The neighbor shook his head. "No, they moved. Left not long ago. Said they were leaving for a honeymoon trip. Didn't you know?" Before he even finished speaking, Evelyn bolted, disappearing like a sudden storm. She drove straight over to the nearest airport. On the way, she dialed Jason's number countless times, but every single call went straight to the automated operator and disconnected. Jason never answered a single one. Her assistant eventually called Miss Vance back. Trent racked up massive online loans. They just sent him right back to his home country, and creditors immediately dragged him away. But Evelyn absolutely could not care less about Trent anymore. She gritted her teeth and barked a new order. "Send people to all nearby airports right now, even if you have to completely turn the world upside down. Intercept Jason for me." "Understood, Miss Vance." But wait. Evelyn suddenly remembered something big. When Jason flew from home to Milan, she never found his boarding info. Jason probably is not using his real name. He has a Singapore passport. Go search for his English name instead. Yes, right away. But 3 whole days passed. Even with all her top subordinates mobilized, they could not find a single trace of Jason. Listen, his disappearance this time was far more thorough than the last time. Evelyn stayed awake for 3 straight days. 0 sleep. 0 food, not even a drop of water. The news quickly reached Mr. Taylor. Afraid she might actually drop dead, he called her specifically to check in. "Miss Vance." Before he could even finish, Evelyn frantically interrupted him. "Is there any news about Jason?" "No, it is about you. You cannot keep going like this. Your bond will break," Mr. Taylor warned her. "How did things get this bad between these 2 siblings? It's complicated, but look, he's an adult now. He has the absolute right to choose his own life." Meanwhile, Evelyn sat alone in a pitch-black room, quietly soaking in Mr. Taylor's heavy advice. She heard every single word, loud and clear, but absolutely refused to accept it. His departure this time was so absolute, not even Mr. Taylor knew his location. He truly wasn't giving his sister another chance. Meanwhile, picture a quaint, beautifully decorated little house out in the countryside. Our guy was leaning back in a lounge chair, eyes completely closed, just soaking up the sun. Since autumn started, perfect sunny days like this were incredibly rare. Sophie was nearby, wiping down his camera gear. Seeing that he had seemingly drifted off, she sneakily grabbed a camera and snapped a quick photo of him, but his ears were hypersensitive to that shutter click. He instantly sat up, leaning over. "Show me. If you made me look ugly, I'm not letting this slide." "Here, look." Sophie handed him the camera. He smiled in total satisfaction. "Your skills aren't bad at all. Pretty handsome. I forgive you." Seeing him so happy, Sophie smiled right back. "Did you forget? I'm Mr. Taylor's student too, and technically by age I'm still your senior." They laughed and joked around until a suddenly chilly autumn breeze swept through the courtyard. That made Sophie remember something else. "I called Mr. Taylor today. He said your sister turned all of Europe completely upside down looking for you. She's definitely going to keep searching." She carefully watched his expression, noticing that he only offered a forced, tight smile and just waited for her to continue. She added, "Mr. Taylor also mentioned your sister's condition really isn't looking good." He replied completely apathetically, "We are all adults. We have to learn to live our own lives. That was her choice." He glanced up at the distant rolling hills. The leaves had already shifted colors. He gently suggested to Sophie, "I'm thinking of packing up and heading deep into the mountains to shoot the autumn scenery here. Do you want to come with me?" Sophie immediately agreed. Of Course, no matter where you want to go, I'll go with you. He smiled again. Can we stay at a bed and breakfast for a while? Then I'll go pack luggage for both of us. Sophie was truly a woman of action. You sleep a little longer, I'll wake you when I'm done. While they planned their trip, let's check in on Evelyn. She was sitting totally alone in her dark room, flipping through a file, lit only by a dim wall sconce. It cast a hazy, creepy glow on her face, making her resemble literal vampire trapped in some ancient castle. Her nervous assistant knocked on the door. Mrs. Vance, exactly as you requested. We found a few more people who matched the criteria. Come in. The assistant, absolutely terrified of setting her off, placed the new files down and stepped right aside, but Evelyn clearly had zero interest, as if she wasn't the exact person who demanded these files in the very first place, just as the assistant was getting super nervous. Evelyn suddenly lit a cigarette. Her cold eyes finally landed on one specific file. Once she locked onto it, she just let the cigarette burn, completely ignoring it until the ash nearly scorched her fingers. Startled, she flicked it away, but it landed straight on the sofa, almost burning a hole right through the fabric. Mrs. Vance. The assistant yelped in pure shock. Evelyn snapped out of her daze, picking up the cigarette and ruthlessly crushing it into an ashtray. She pulled out the exact file she had been staring at for so long and shoved it toward the assistant. Save him, give him. All right, check this out. Give him enough money, then send him away. The photo inside the file showed a kid looking 90% like Jason. Her assistant just stood there, completely stunned. You aren't bringing him back? Evelyn frowned sharply. What do you mean? After her initial breakdown, she actually stopped frantically searching all over for Jason. Everywhere. Instead, she totally changed tactics, sending people out to track down guys with a similar age and look to Jason. The assistant naturally assumed she couldn't handle losing Jason and wanted to keep a lookalike around for comfort, but now it seemed he had guessed totally wrong. Evelyn, looking completely dazed, didn't explain further. She stared at the empty space in front of her, her voice hauntingly hollow. I know what you are all thinking, but no one can replace Jason. Once he leaves, he is truly gone. After that day, she didn't even try to recover. Instead, Evelyn began severely neglecting herself. She refused to eat. She completely stopped sleeping. When she reached the absolute limits of her exhaustion, she would just pass out for a bit. Even when she looked awake, her mental state was clearly broken. She chain smoked like an absolute maniac, relying on it as her only escape. As her closest aid, the assistant had to try stepping in. Mrs. Vance, I know you are hurting, but life has to go on. Forgive me for being blunt, but if you keep destroying your health like this, you will end up in the hospital before we hear anything about Jason. That might be for the best. Evelyn honestly didn't even dare close her eyes anymore. The second she did, she saw Jason. She saw his icy stare, saw his resolute figure walking away from her. She asked bitterly, if I get sick and start dying, will he finally come back to see me one last time? I miss him so much. I miss him so incredibly much. I literally feel like I am dying. Aside from that, she absolutely could not focus on anything else. The assistant didn't dare say more, quickly changing his approach. Should I send our private investigators to keep searching? Searching where? There are zero exit records for him anywhere. He must still be somewhere in Europe. Maybe traveling around. Saying she wasn't tempted would be a complete lie, but after a moment she whispered hoarsely, no need. He has made up his mind to avoid me. Even if I forcefully track him down, I will just have to face his cold eyes again. Besides, what right do I even have left to see him? Everything that had happened was entirely her own fault. If she had just trusted Jason a little bit more, things would never have crashed and burned like this. Time is the best medicine. Now stick with me here. 1 year later, Evelyn, who returned to the country, stepped foot inside the house where Jason used to live for the first time. Following her strict orders, someone was always keeping the house maintained. Not even a single small decoration was allowed to be moved from its original spot. Every single inch of The place retained Jason's original traces, looking exactly as if he had just stepped out for a few minutes. Evelyn dismissed the hourly housekeeper early today, personally picking up the cleaning tools herself, intending to personally clean Jason's room. Then, a mysterious letter arrived at that exact moment. The mail carrier had already vanished. The only way to figure out its origin was the handwriting on the envelope. So, Evelyn frantically rushed out, sprinting a few steps hoping to catch the mailman to ask for the sender's contact info, but it was totally useless. She could only return to the room and rip it open. The contents were incredibly simple: a postcard printed with Merry Christmas. Only then did Evelyn finally realize that Christmas was the day after tomorrow. You and I know in past years, Jason and Evelyn would always celebrate Christmas together, but starting last year, she was the only one left. Right then, her assistant walked in holding the cleaning supplies she requested. He saw her just standing frozen by the door, reading a letter. He didn't dare interrupt. He just stood there waiting. It wasn't until she finally moved that he carefully asked, "Miss Vance, is that from Mr. Jason?" Evelyn gripped the paper and the photo inside so gently, holding them as if terrified they might completely shatter. The photo drooped down. From the assistant's angle, he could clearly see the picture. Jason was dressed up as Santa Claus, standing super close to Sophie by a Christmas tree. They were both making goofy faces, looking totally adorable together. Oh no, Miss Vance is definitely going to lose it, the assistant thought. He watched Evelyn with extreme caution. He didn't even dare offer any comfort, terrified that one wrong word would trigger an absolute disaster. But her reaction was surprisingly more calm than ever before. Jason wrote he is living a great life now, he mentioned. That before he felt completely lost, desperate, and almost gave up on living. But right when he was about to give up, Sophie appeared. She gave him hope, gave him the motivation to keep pushing forward, even though she was reading Jason's words out loud. It sounded exactly like she was talking to herself. He is doing great. The last thing he needs is her interference. But her voice gradually started to tremble. A whole year had passed. She honestly thought she was finally over it. The assistant asked her gently, "Would you like to sit down and finish reading?" Only then did Evelyn realize she had been standing there for an unknown amount of time. She reached out, gripping the table's edge hard, and sat down so stiffly, her back pressed hard against the sofa, looking totally drained, as if all her strength had evaporated in an instant. Jason also hoped she could quickly step out of the past shadows and find her own true happiness instead of trapping herself in a cage. He really still saw her as a sister. She stared at Jason's photo, trying to force a smile, but no matter how hard she tried, she just couldn't do it. Finally, she brought her hands up, totally covering her face, hiding all that crushing emotion. The assistant, terrified she was relapsing into last year's destructive habits, desperately racked his brain for a solution. "Miss Vance, give me the address. Give me 10 minutes, and we can track Mr. Jason's exact location. Even if he moved, we can at least find out where he went. This is the best lead we've ever had." Evelyn was instantly tempted. She raised a hand, ready to give the assistant an order, but ultimately she just shook her head. She lowered her hand and picked the photo back up. "No need. He's living the life he wants now. I am doing very well, truly very well." After saying that, she looked up at the assistant who had stayed by her side for years. "You should go home and celebrate Christmas. Consider it paid time off." The assistant didn't push it. He set the supplies down, turned, and left that room filled with the memories of Jason and Evelyn. Now you and I can see she'd been lonely so long, time had blurred. She actually hallucinated that Jason was pushing the door open, walking right inside, but it was just a mirage. Her fingers continuously traced his familiar handwriting. He had written, "Merry Christmas, sister." After an unknown amount of time passed by, he pulled out pen and paper, casually scribbling down a dead simple reply.